ASEC, which is Association of Startup and SME Enablers of Kenya. We're a network that brings together different entrepreneur support organizations. That includes incubators, accelerators, venture builders, venture studios, and also investors who are actually supporting entrepreneurs from starting their business, growing, and scaling. One of the key initiatives is that we have the capacity building pillar, where we always want to support our members, but also ecosystem players, and really happy to have the university representatives here to really understand what entrepreneurship and innovation looks like and actually how to support an innovative ecosystem to actually grow and evolve. As you know, Kenya is a vibrant ecosystem, not only for East Africa, but also across global, across globally. And so many people are always looking forward to seeing how do we innovate, how do we support startups, and actually how are we looking at innovation as a way for increasing efficiency, but also addressing emerging challenges. So really honored here to have Dr. Hilda being part of this session and actually walking us through business competitive and resilient enterprises through innovation, data, and inclusive business models. And I'll allow her to share more on what she does. But really, Dr. Hilda, we've walked a long journey with her. She's been a member of ASEC for a very long time, and we're really honored to have you to come and share your expertise. So without further ado, Dr. Hilda, I'd like to invite you. And then also for all of you that are here and might have joined a bit later, please do leave a comment on the chat about your name, your business, your LinkedIn profile. We also want to help you network amongst each other as we do this Learning Week series. Thank you. Dr. Hilda, over to you.
Thank you, Mercy. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It's my pleasure to connect with you once more. My name is Dr. Muteshi Hilda. I am passionate about research, data, and technology. I look forward to an interaction where we can innovate services, products, and business models that can serve the community and create shared value. So today we want to explore how we can build competitive and resilient enterprises through innovation, data, and inclusive business modeling. I start by saying that the best way to predict the future is to create your own future. And by this, it is therefore very important that for you to remain competitive in the market, then you need to control the market by creating shared value. And when I mean shared value, is that companies can be able to create shared value by looking at a human-centered market competitiveness design. By this is looking at the role of research and data, technology innovation, creating inclusive business modeling, marketing in order to create the shared value. There are 4 pillars of business competitiveness. And I look at business competitiveness whereby the people at the center of your business, you are trying to create value for the people, but through this, you are able to capture the role of data, which provides you with critical precision, prediction, and looking at how you can unlock the market potential. And once you use data to look at the needs and unlock the market potential, you are able then to create value or products and differentiate yourself in the market through digital innovations, technologies, and processes that can help you now deliver that value to the people. And when delivering this value to the people, we are looking at how do you ensure market penetration, scalability, and resilience by directly integrating the MSMEs and the smallholder farmers and other people in the community, the bottom of the pyramid, into the value chains. And so this sums up the pillars I would really like us to look at as the most important pillars for you to remain competitive in the market. So in order to create a shared value and remain competitive, I'm looking at a shared value competitive wheel. And in this wheel, I have 5 items that I look at. So you're looking at how do then universities and companies, enterprises, and everyone else be able to create shared value? For you to create shared value, you need to be able to conduct research. And in this research, We are conducting research to continuously identify people needs. We are identifying the preferences of the customers we want to serve. We are also conducting research on the market, the supply chain, looking at the inefficiencies in the market. And as we look at the inefficiencies in the market, we also look at existing alternatives and products and be able to look at the pain points and the customer complaints for the product they're already having. Once we capture this data, we are able then to capture the market insights and determine the market inefficiencies and where we want to come in as a university or as a company. So one of the gaps we have seen in the market is that we normally create the product before going to the people, asking them about their needs, about preferences. Data capture then informs innovation. Information could be that creating new products, improving already existing products, or improving the processes, the connectivity that has become a barrier towards creating the shared value. So it's not always that when we are innovating, we have to come up with new products, but we can also innovate around new business models, business model reengineering, where technology comes in to connect the missing link between the people you want to create value for and your company, or where a new product is developed to fill a market gap where no product exists, or where a product is modified based on the data and the feedback from the community needs that we have identified through research. And with that, as we do research, inclusive business modeling then ensured that this research is done with the target audience, the people that we want to research with, are the people that are going to utilize the product. Most of the times, research and data and innovation have failed to converge when the wrong audience or the wrong question is asked to the wrong people, and a product is developed that does not fit the people's needs and preferences. But in all that, during this research, then there are various considerations we are making to make sure the business model is inclusive. An inclusive business model is the one that looks at people from the bottom of the pyramid, the people who are not able to afford products, the people who are not able to access products, and seeing how do you then wrap them into your business model. Some of these people could be living in low-income areas, and some of these people could be having an affordability issue. This could be inclusivity to do with the people with the disability. It could be people with special needs, and also it could be small businesses and smallholder farmers that are not able to tap into the potential of the bigger markets. An example would be that maybe from an agricultural value chain perspective, smallholder farmers who are not able to access big markets, they are not able to access export markets, and you are modeling to see that you are providing a solution to help these people access. It could be small businesses that are not able to be part of the value chain because they cannot meet the demand, and you're looking at innovative ways of aggregation technology to help them then be able to access the bigger markets. And so this type of innovation could take the innovation of a business model, could take innovation of a business process, and could also take the innovation of a business of a product. Beyond that, once the innovation is created, then you are looking at a product that is well informed by the market, that is distinguishing itself, that the people are able to afford it because of the research you have done on affordability. You are looking at accessibility, that people are able to access this product, looking at the infrastructure and the business processes. And now you are able to create a social impact whereby the bottom of the pyramid have been involved in product development. They are part of the supply chain in terms of service delivery, which are the micro enterprises, the smallholder farmers, and also they are able to generate revenue from your business model, and hence that is shared value. And therefore, when we look at the business competitiveness and maintaining a competitive advantage, we are looking at an interconnected business model. And with this business model is that a business has to continuously evolve and be able to generate. And so it is not a straight line, but it is a loop that companies continuously conduct research. Beyond just conducting research to gather market information on the needs, then they need to continue to conduct that research along the value chain, looking at where the companies are stuck. And this is important because sometimes we end up innovating products, new products, creating new products instead of modifying the existing products. Or the universities and the companies would focus more on trying to create new supply chains instead of leveraging on already existing supply chains. So data and research helps you to identify the pain points from a customer perspective, but also look at the customer journey and see that what are the barriers towards the customer being able to access the product, and the innovation focusing on the real barriers to accessing the existing products, unlike creating new products. And also innovation focusing on creating pathways and systems in place that could enable people already access the already existing products in the market. So research then should be able to inform, to analyze the market, analyze the environment, look at the social parameters that are a barrier to accessing some of these products, and uncover the hidden opportunities and the potentials within value chains. Therefore, innovation is better done along a value chain, along a business model, unlike a standalone product. So one of the gaps we have seen is that students or companies innovate a product that does not fit within the existing parameters and business models, or innovating a product that does not have a vehicle or a system of delivery, or having a duplication of similar products being innovated in the market, and therefore having similar products, wasted efforts, duplication of efforts, and resources being wasted that are channeled. So then the universities, the companies can look at a need-informed research by embracing research before innovation. And once research has informed innovation, then we are able to deploy targeted business solutions. And some of the things we could be looking at in the market could be that what are then the challenges facing the SMEs. And if we are looking at challenges facing the SMEs, we are looking at, are they systemic challenges? Are they market challenges? Are they social challenges? And how do we then configure a research that intends to solve those problems? And from that research, we are able then to design either a process, to design a business model, or design a product. A product could be a technological solution. A business model could be a process that helps you deliver the product to the market. It could be a strategy that we are able to give the businesses that are having a challenge. So then there are so many ways to innovate from a product, a process, a business model, and a strategy that can be able to help the small businesses. And if then we were able to say we want to innovate along the value chains, then we will be picking one value chain, maybe a crop value chain, maybe we are looking at agriculture, looking at livestock, and then running through with it. So our research and innovation at the moment is currently disconnected in a way that everybody is making an effort, but the efforts are not contributing to a common goal. So this could be a takeaway, that we could be able to look at research informing innovation, and innovation that is informed by market gaps. So within that information, we have to be targeted on which people we want to innovate with. And we should be able, from our inclusive business model, then to generate measurable social impact, and simultaneously be able to capture these by reducing the costs, so that we are having to sustain our businesses, but we are also looking at the issue of affordability and accessibility to the bottom of the pyramid. The mass market has so many people. It is okay to innovate for the topmost market, but where we are as a country and in Africa, the people who can afford already have a solution. It's only those who can not afford that do not have a solution. So then the innovation we are looking at should be able to focus on issues that are affecting the bottom of the pyramid, the disadvantaged, the less advantaged people, so that our business model then is able to tap into the larger population. And the products that have done well in the market have been able to capture mass market. Then innovating for the top of the pyramid, just a few, maybe 1 million people, but there are products that can be innovated for 40 million people, 50 million people, 100 million people, and those products are able to penetrate the market to serve the mass market. So we need to look at a balance between our innovation and inclusion to see that we are able to balance the innovation for the top of the pyramid and the bottom of the pyramid. If then companies are able to do this with the collaboration between the universities and the SMEs and the social enterprises, then we are able to generate profits, create a shared value, remain competitive in the market. And once the people feel involved and part of the product, then you are able to see that you are advancing loyalty and you continue increasing your market dominance and you are able to create shared value for the people. Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? Comments?
Thank you so much, Doc, for the presentation. I think for me, it's a comment and maybe also to hear your opinion. One of the biggest challenges we have during innovation is actually just investing in the research part of the business. I think sometimes it's mostly, maybe, I don't know, you can guide us, but mostly I think it's an issue of not understanding the fact that we need research, but to actually then look at the resources at our disposal and say, as an individual SME, now I'm going to invest in doing research in the market. It becomes very expensive. You try to do it yourself. Sometimes you don't have the capacity. You try to do it through institutions. They also want funding. So I'm not sure from your perspective how as SMEs we can have this culture of research and at least affordable research. Thank you.
Should I take questions one by one? Thank you. So yes, research can be expensive. And also there are two things that have affected our way of life is that one of the things as SMEs, we normally copy what somebody else is doing. So when we want to start a business, we don't necessarily scan the market to know what are the needs, but we start a business because we have seen somebody else start such a business. And the same trend is catching up with our university students, that whenever you see a call for innovations, you start creating something without necessarily trying to find out what do people want. There are so many ways of doing research. A simple Google search could tell you maybe the needs. So secondary data, research that has already been done, can be reviewed from the thesis the students have been doing, the publications from other countries, and that can be able to help a small business to figure out what are the needs in the community and where do we need to invest. So that could be an easier way. The other way to be able for us to achieve research that is affordable is by submitting our needs to students, utilizing university students who want to do their research for academic purposes. Instead of students coming with hypothetical topics that do not add value to the business enterprises, then there could be a way in which a university student approaches a company and says, I have resources for research, or I need to graduate, but I would like to use your company for research purposes. So this can lower the cost of research, because then a university student is able to put in time and is able to graduate, and that is what we call shared value, because I am able to benefit as a student, I'm able to benefit the companies to conduct their research and be able to publish this. Now, where do we get stuck? At that point, we get stuck by the fact that if the university will have a traditional format on how a thesis should be able to look like, then the student is forced to fit into a system that your topic of research or your problem of research does not fit the university format of a thesis. So then, in terms of shared value and collaboration, there is a need to work with the industry and academia to refine what research could look like and how do we benefit from the student population that is always churning out research every year, and utilize that to make it useful for the SMEs. Then the journey should start from SMEs submitting the topic that the research are able to conduct a value chain analysis, and the findings for this value chain analysis, then they are able to apply to all the SMEs within that. So if we were to look at an export market and we pull resources together to look at how do we access export market, then we are able to do that, and the findings of that research will help all the SMEs along the value chains. So the fragmented way of doing research is one of the barriers that is making research very expensive, but through a collaborative approach, we can have systems in place that would help us achieve research findings that are useful to our SMEs in a more affordable way. I hope that clarifies. Let me know.
Thank you so much, Doc, for those insights and ideas. Thank you.
DGL?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you so much, Doc, for that elaborate presentation. However, for me, it's pretty much in terms of application of research, and especially in the SME space. I'm a researcher by profession, in terms of training and also in terms of practice, and even running my institution based on research pillars. So one of the things that I've always been able to advocate for SMEs is to understand the importance of data that they collect on a day-to-day basis. I think we've been able to achieve quite a lot by helping businesses to understand how to track information and how to track data that comes through their ecosystems, that comes through their pipeline, as opposed to waiting at the tail end to start trying to figure out how their business is operating, how the market is shaping up, and all those kind of things. So what we do, we equip an SME pretty much to understand that in your day-to-day running of your enterprise or running of your business, there are quite a number of data points that you need to be cognizant of. So what we do is that we provide a guidance in terms of what at the basics. So, for example, a feedback mechanism, a feedback loop mechanism where you get feedback from your customers who you are trading with, or data that is coming through the balance sheets. By this, we've seen them appreciating, first of all, internally, what data can do to transform their enterprises. On the outside, we always try to advise that when they are in their business development services, or other ventures where they're going to look for source for business and all that, they ask as many questions as they can, and that information is actually recorded, or rather, they actually make sure that they note down the information they are getting out there. Because what we came to understand is that with the emergence of AI, a lot of information out there perhaps sometimes might be misleading, and dovetailing pretty much into the different AI tools that are out there without guidance and without understanding how the data needs to be structured and how interpretation needs to happen, it becomes a process in futility. And you'll find cases whereby they tell you, but I've read this from a chat GPT, I've read this from an AI or a cloud or something. Remember, these are AI tools that have been designed, and we advise they have been designed perhaps to collect data from different sources. So it is up to you to develop the skills of how to interpret that information, how to sift through and actually understand what essentially that data means, and also counter verify, because not every other data that is out there is verifiable. I like the approach of the student, but then again, you realize that most of these SMEs don't have actually the budget for even collecting that data, and even putting whether it's a retainer or a contract to a student who goes out to collect data. First of all, data collection is I wouldn't say it's expensive. It will cost you money. But then how do you make it so easy for yourself such that you don't need to depend on a third party to do it? So equipping the SME to understand how to collect that information, and even their staff and even the team they work with. And data doesn't have to be complex. It's your day-to-day interaction, either in terms of conversation, it's your day-to-day interaction in terms of notes, it's a day interaction in terms of the numbers that you read every other time they're presented to you, either with your financial person, whether you're a tax manager or whatever it is. Once you understand all these basics, it becomes very easy to navigate around insights, and even in terms of information that is going to shape and reshape your business. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the insights. And this brings me to the comment of processes. There is what we call a customer journey. And a customer journey starts from when they are searching for your product, and simple ways in which you need to capture the data along the customer journey so that this fits in. So if we don't put systems in place and we don't put a process of that data collection, then we are likely to miss out on valuable data. Customer feedback is very important in informing product design and innovation. Thank you. Meshach?
Thank you, Dr. Muteshi. I think first I appreciate very informative presentation. I'm really happy. And my question is about what is your thought about the possible challenge of getting university or higher institution learning, research or innovations to the market? Because I come from the university setup, and there are several research going on by master student, PhD students every year. Some of these could be converted into innovations that can be protected in form of patents or copyrights. But then even those that are protected, very few of them finally end in the market. So listening to your presentation, I was very much interested in the concept of shared value competitive flywheel, where you have data capture coming before innovation, so that through that process, one is able to identify customer needs and preferences before innovating. Could this be one of the challenges for innovations that come out of learning institutions? Or what else could be the problem of getting innovations to the market? Because when you see hundreds or thousands of students doing research at postgraduate level and graduating every year, but then few of this research finally end up as products, and even as products, they rarely get to successful products in the market. So what could be the possible problem, in your opinion? Thank you.
Thank you so much. This could be a personal opinion and shaped by my experience, both as a student and as a business coach. I have also worked with some universities, and it's quite interesting. First of all, is that what informed our choice of topic or our choice of research. When you are specializing, maybe for example, in marketing, I am a marketer by profession, there is the frameworks of marketing that when you want to shape your topic, you are supposed to shape it around a theory. And you find that the emerging markets and the challenges that we are facing do not fit within a theory, they go outside the theory. So the first barrier is that we need to blend the theoretical way of knowledge with the emerging needs and see, do we still want to stick to theory or do we want to blend the theory and the practice? So the barrier is a blend between theory and practice, that we want to innovate, we want to think theory and forget the practical way of doing things. So as a student and as a practitioner, there are theories I looked at in school, and today I would think that there is a new theory that is emerging that we are yet to publish, but we are stuck with the old theory. Secondly, looking at the issue of the thesis, there is a standard framework on how objectives and everything has to be designed within the university space. And that does not then allow you to think outside the box without framing it the way it is desired. So the freedom then to research is confined within a given framework, a given design, a study design that we need to follow, that needs to be looked at. Looking at the issue of now the student and lecturer ratio, for you to be able to innovate or for you to be able to do thorough research, you need maybe that support from other people in the field, both in practice and in academia. But if a student who has never practiced is supervised by a lecturer who has never practiced, then both of them are advancing one theory, which is one-sided, without looking at the market forces. And then sometimes the lecturer is overwhelmed supervising so many students and is not able to put a lot of energy into guiding the student and looking at the market forces. Then the objective becomes publishing and passing an exam and not generating a real solution. Now, I'll come to innovations that are spanning out in terms of technological innovations. We are seeing incubation centers, tech innovations everywhere, patents and all that. And the question is, do you sit in a classroom and imagine that you want to create something, or do you go to the people, listen to them and hear out their problem and come and create a solution? So the innovations and the patents started from the classroom instead of starting from the community going to the classroom. So a student is passionate about something and is creating it, but you find that is creating something that they love and not something that the people want. And that comes to the question of, do we really continuously identify the people's needs? Do we consider their preferences, their complaints, their pain points, the market insights before we start innovation? Now, without that, then it means innovation can only span from the last thesis findings that we did, but we cannot disconnect the research of the thesis and the innovation. Maybe the thesis could have led to a market solution. So there are two stages. The research that the student did in academia should be continuous, that you are researching on a topic and you are placing that topic within a solution and now developing the product and taking it to the market. But you find that the one who is creating a product has never done research, and the one who has done research has never created a product. So we have two things on the shelf. We have a patent that is not backed up with research, and we have a thesis that is not backed up by a product. We need to synchronize that research and innovation is a continuous process and not a standalone. The other thing I noticed within the incubation centers is that innovation is, they call it sprint or a competition, that you call innovation for 3 months or 6 months. And we know very well that research and product development takes time. So the people who are funding or supporting innovation are putting in resources for 3 months or 6 months, and students are called together to think a solution. Before you help this student to develop the solution to the end, the idea is abandoned and another funder comes in and starts another innovation spree. So every 6 months, we have a call for innovations, we drop the innovation, we start another innovation, we drop. So most of those things have been left at prototype. Then the question becomes, would a university specialize in what they want to innovate around? Because then you cannot have 100 innovations. Why are you calling 200 people to come and innovate what? At the end of the day, if then we are doing an innovation spree, then we need to narrow down to 2 or 3 products that we want to build for the next 5 years. Because the best products that have been in the market have been struggling for the last 10 years for them to hit the market. But all our patents have been dropped at a point of 6 months or 3 months or 1 year, and then there's nobody who is picking it up. So for it to be continuous, then an innovation grant should not be utilized for innovation sprees, but should be utilized for 1, 2, 3 chosen problems that a university wants to identify with and solve that problem to the end. An example would be that we want to solve the SME problems, and we are going to be looking at technological solutions and processes. So then JKUAT is going to specialize in tech processes, or JKUAT is going to specialize in resolving farmer problems. And today we are starting our research on pig farming or our research on chicken, and every other person is contributing to that research for the next 5 years until we are out in the market. But we start chicken farming, then we start some technologies here, and all of them are 6 months old. They have been published, patented, and nobody is taking them to the market. The other thing I've noted within the innovation is the funder determines what they want people to innovate around. So if I am coming in from SUSAFRIC, I could come and I fund a given thing, and I am not interested in any other idea that would come up. So this is not market-led solution, but is led by the person who is funding. An example could be maybe a company for dealing with vehicles or motorbikes, and I just need a small application for my motorbikes. So then I come and I say, I want students to innovate. So if they think outside the motorbike or the whatever it is, I am not interested in that, and those innovations would be abandoned. There are no resources to take them to the next level. And so we have fragmented items that have been left hanging, and no one has ever thought, how could these items be tied together into one solution? The other thing is that if we end up with a good product, we forget that a product cannot survive without a business model. So you have a science student who has zero knowledge on markets. You have a tech student, very good in coding, has zero knowledge of people needs. And so a tech student will code something very nice and patent it, but then the question is, who needs that thing? So the best innovations, then if I were to innovate a financial system, I need to have a finance practitioner who is informing the pain points of finance people then I need to have the tech student who is able to code the solution, but I need to have a marketer on board who is looking at the supply chain, the business modeling, and how to deliver that product in the market. Now, the finance practitioner is definitely not a student and will never be a student, because the student we have has never practiced finance, does not understand the pain point of finance people. And the tech person has never interacted with the market but knows how to code. So where are we stuck? We are stuck at a tech student using a lot of energy saying, I'm developing a solution for SMEs. And the SME, when I'm reviewing this product, I do not see how the product is fitting into my pain points. And as a business, I'm not able to adopt it. So yes, the idea was valid, the problem was valid, but it was not tied down to the pain point of the finance person. So innovation would only happen if then the tech person is the secondary person and not the primary person leading the innovation. It has to be led by market insights and then market practitioners who are having the pain points. And now the tech student is coming in to be able to execute. Now, how do we then reform our curriculum? Why would you have an engineer who has never studied innovation and entrepreneurship? So then if what we are speaking would help a medical doctor, an engineer, then it means that when I am sitting in a medical class, I am also having a unit on entrepreneurship and innovation process, so that I understand that I need to conduct a market research for me to be able to come up with a product that solves the medical, because now I'm in the medical field, but I do not have knowledge on market research and I do not have knowledge on innovation. I am in tech, I do not have market research skills, I do not have knowledge on innovation. So innovation has been left for a few fields, but innovation, entrepreneurship then should be a cross-cutting theme and a common unit within the universities, such that by the time you join first year, second year, you have already started thinking about your product. And if you are graduating in fourth year, you are graduating with a product that you have been working on for 4 years, unlike call for innovations in your fourth year, fifth year, or sixth year, and you are rushed through and you're able not to deliver. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated.
Any other comments and questions? Any questions? Comments? Back to you, Mercy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Hilda. I'm just checking the chat whether we have any. Oh, actually, we have one from Eric. So what platforms or funding vehicles exist to finance the scale-up phase of early-stage tech innovators, especially around climate-smart innovations? Do we have grant institutions ready to take up this?
Thank you so much, Mercy, for that question. I would flip back to the question and say, who needs the innovations? One of the things we want to avoid is to think that we need to take innovations to the market. We need to think that there is a problem in the market that needs an innovation, and so we are providing a solution. And one of the things we are learning is that when you are providing a solution, then the market forces, the market is able to fund the solution. You are able to risk amounts. You are able to, there are people, venture capitalists, who would be able to put in money because they are seeing the potential of the product going to the market. But if we approach innovation from availability of funding, and this is one of the challenges we are facing, is that because there is available funding in climate, then we are coming up with all sorts of things called climate tech innovations. But the question is, what has climate got to do with tech innovations. Maybe we need to look at what is the problem we are facing that needs an innovation, and not where is the funding for climate innovation so that we can innovate tech. I don't know. Just anybody else who could respond to this, please. Any insights? I am happy to look at the climate tech innovations. Yes. Go ahead. Someone?
So maybe I can add something.
Yes.
So if you're looking at Climate Smart, there's a lot of initiatives under the Ministry of Agriculture and also, I guess, environment that are doing some projects around that, either funded by different development partners, but they typically share that information, which sometimes also is a bit hard to find. But you can subscribe, because now we have your email. We can definitely keep sharing with you upcoming events or opportunities where you can tap into, because sometimes you find Climate Smart plays around either agriculture or even health, right? So you also have to keep an eye out for those kind of different sectors that also have openings around that, because, and also the waste sector, that's the other one. So we normally try to find this different type of programs, events where they are showcasing whether it's either funding or technical capability, and then sharing that out through the ASEC newsletter or email. But just keep an eye out for other diverse opportunities also, so that you also don't miss out on those climate smart opportunities also.
Thank you, Mercy, for that insight. There are no further comments or questions in the chat.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hilda. I think this the session has been really interesting, and definitely we invite you to also reflect and share any follow-up questions. Also be shared. Maybe Dr. Hilda, you can put your contact details on the chat so that if they have any questions, they can reach out to you. But a big thank you for all of you showing up for today's session. There's a lot of good insights that have been shared, definitely a lot to rethink on. And also, in case you find that there's something that you'd want us to deep dive into, I know you talked about research, talked about grant funding, and many other different opportunities that are there. You can also let us know, and then we can see how to close that gap as well. On the chat, I just want to request if you can just fill in the feedback form just to share your experience, how it has been, and also what you'd like to see get done. Luckily, tomorrow we have our third session, and I'm so happy to have Melanie also on the call. Melanie, maybe you can just say a quick hi and invite guys for your session tomorrow. We'll be talking everything AI. Yeah. Melanie, you can just unmute and maybe greet people and invite them for your session. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. And thank you so much, Dr. Hilda. Very insightful, very powerful. Whenever I attend sessions where I'm facilitating and others are facilitating, it's always a very, very rich learning process. And today you just gave us perspectives that we really have to consider in the whole ecosystem. I think it's relevant for everyone in the ecosystem. It's just at different levels. And so we really appreciate you. And thank you, Mercy. I'm inviting everyone to come through for tomorrow's session. We are going to be talking about AI and how we can practically look at implementing relevant solutions in our businesses, how to take advantage of them. So please make sure you are ready, sign up, bring a notebook, take notes, and so forth. So I'm really looking to seeing everyone who is on this call in tomorrow's call also. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mercy.
Thank you so much. So I guess, Hilda, do you have any parting shots, rallying cry, apart from telling us to go and read more books?
Thank you so much, everyone. I will not tell you to read more books. I would say human-centered design, focusing on the people, throughout the journey of innovation is the key to successful innovation and market penetration. So you do not create a product and ask who wants the product. Ask the people what they want and create it. And before you finish the creation, you will definitely be having a market for your product. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And as a philosophy that we use even within the association is on the lean startup methodology, where human-centered design plays a very critical role, build something that solves a customer's problem. That's how you make money. That's how you make impact. So thank you so much, everyone. We have actually finished ahead of time. So I want to give you back your 8 minutes into the day. So I hope I'll see all of you tomorrow at 11:30 a.m., same time, same place. Asante sana and have a lovely afternoon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.